For decades, fans speculated about the sudden departures of some of MASH's cast members, but the truth sat quietly behind the laughter and applause. Loretta Swit, who embodied Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, finally broke her silence in the final days of her life. What she shared wasn't just surprising. It reshaped how people understood the friendships, conflicts, and pressures behind one of TV's most beloved ensembles. What had driven talented actors away from a series that looked perfect on screen? As we step into her revelations, a hidden side of MASH comes to light, full of tension, heartbreak, and unspoken struggles. It was something special. MASH was more than just a television show. It was a reflection of human resilience and emotion, set against the backdrop of war. From its premiere on September 17, 1972, the series entered homes across America, bringing laughter, tears, and moments of quiet reflection to viewers for over a decade. The show was based on the 1970 film, which itself adapted a 1968 novel about three Army doctors navigating the complexities of the Korean War. On screen, everything seemed seamless: doctors, nurses, and soldiers performing heroically while managing the chaos of wartime life. Yet behind the cameras, the experience was far from perfect. Arguments simmered quietly, tensions occasionally flared, and frustration built over years of long hours and creative differences. Loretta Swit, cast as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, was a constant presence throughout all 11 seasons, along with only 3 other actors who remained from start to finish. At first, her character was strict and rigid, her interactions constricted, tied to a secretive, tense entanglement with Frank Burns, played by Larry Linville. Over time, Margaret softened on screen, revealing empathy, intelligence, and resilience that resonated deeply with viewers. Swit helped drive this evolution, offering notes to writers, shaping lines, and sharing insights from real-life military nurses. Her focus turned a one-dimensional foil into a grounded, formidable woman, earning her 2 Emmy Awards and lasting respect from colleagues and fans alike. The cast itself felt like lightning in a bottle. Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce became a focal point, but the chemistry extended to Wayne Rogers' Trapper John, McLean Stevenson's Colonel Blake, Gary Berghoff's Radar O'Reilly, Jamie Farr's Klinger, William Christopher's Father Mulcahy, and others. As seasons progressed, departures and new arrivals shifted the balance. Trapper John left and was replaced by B.J. Honeycutt. Colonel Blake was succeeded by Colonel Potter, and Frank Burns gave way to Charles Winchester. Each transition refreshed the show's energy, yet the essence of MASH stayed intact, a precise mix of humor and humanity. Stories drew not only from the writers' imaginations, but from the lived experiences of doctors who had served in Korea, giving the series an authenticity seldom matched on television. Through all the change, MASH captured something timeless, a blend of tragedy and comedy that reflected the human condition. Even as viewers laughed and cried, the pressures, disagreements, and quiet sadness backstage remained largely unseen, until Loretta Swit chose to reveal what really happened in her final days. Loretta Swit's path to Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan was marked by discipline, determination, and an early passion for the stage. Born on November 4, 1937 in Passaic, New Jersey, to Polish-American parents Lester and Nellie, she grew up with her older brother, Robert, in a household that welcomed energy and ambition. From a young age, Loretta embraced leadership and creativity. She joined her church's Girl Scouts, performed in school plays, co-captained the basketball team, and nurtured a growing love for the arts. She graduated from Catherine Gibbs School in 1957, and like many women of the era, first pursued office work, including a stint as a secretary and time at the United Nations. But her ambitions were bigger. Quietly, she trained in dance, acting, and singing, determined to build a life in performance. By 1961, she was appearing in well-known theater productions alongside established names like Don Rickles and Ernest Borgnine, sharpening her craft and reputation. Television followed in 1969 with guest turns on Gunsmoke and Hawaii Five-0. Then, MASH changed everything on set, Swit first faced the limitations of a rigid character and complex dynamics with co-stars, especially Larry Linville, who played Frank Burns. Their characters were romantically entangled. Off-camera, friction hovered. Swit would later describe being forced to work with people for years, not out of respect, but because I had no choice, recalling long nights reshooting scenes when focus drifted. She forged close friendships with Alan Alda and Jamie Farr, yet she kept careful distance from Linville. Creative pressures added to the strain. As Alda's influence as writer and director expanded, the show evolved, sometimes uncomfortably, for those who felt eclipsed. Wayne Rogers, believing Trapper John was overshadowed by Hawkeye's prominence, left after Season 3 seeking more autonomy and recognition. McLean Stevenson similarly discovered audiences admired his character more than his own work as an actor, leaving him feeling underappreciated. Larry Linville departed after 5 seasons, citing the lack of growth for Frank. Gary Berghoff, growing older, struggled to sustain Radar's innocence and sought more time with family. Even as audiences embraced the on-screen camaraderie, MASH carried layers of tension that tested its cast. Swit's reflections revealed triumph intertwined with sacrifice, frustration, and the kind of quiet strain that never reaches the blooper reel. Away from the 4077th, Loretta Swit's life carried both achievements and private heartbreak. In 1983, just after the show ended, she married actor Dennis Holohan, who had appeared with her in the final season. The match looked promising, 2 performers finding stability after years of grueling schedules, but only 3 years later, in 1986, the marriage ended in divorce. Friends say she poured herself into that relationship. The loss stung. She never remarried. While there were other relationships, none endured, and she rarely addressed romance in interviews, often smiling or changing the subject. Those closest to her knew when Loretta gave her heart, she gave it completely. What filled the space was purpose. Beginning in 1981, Swit embraced vegetarianism and later became vegan, dedicating herself to animal welfare. She worked with organizations like the Humane Society and PETA, championed adoption, spoke out against cruelty, and personally rescued animals. Even during MASH, she brought rescue dogs to settle nerves and bring some peace. Her home became a sanctuary for the voiceless, nurtured, protected, and loved. When she passed on May 30th, 2025, reports indicated natural causes, closing a life marked by both sorrow and purpose, and leaving a legacy as an actress and a relentless advocate for animals. In the days before her passing, Loretta Swit began sharing truths that had stayed off the record for years. In posts on Instagram, she hinted at long-standing tensions with a co-star, rumors that industry watchers quickly linked to Larry Linville, who played Frank Burns. On screen, their dynamic was combustible and funny, Margaret disciplined and razor-sharp, Frank fussy and inept. Off-camera, the reality lacked the punchline. Swit said she'd been forced to work with people for years, not out of respect, but because I had no choice, recalling scenes repeated when others weren't fully focused or professional. The tension was visible to those who were there, even if seldom discussed publicly. In her final weeks, Swit was still posting tributes and memories, proof she stayed connected to the show and its people right up to the end. Men's Journal, despite the friction, Swit's friendships with Alan Alda and Jamie Farr remained steady. Linville left after Season 5, officially citing a lack of development for Frank, but a strained working relationship likely didn't help. Through it all, Swit's commitment never wavered. She pressed to deepen Margaret, nudging scripts, suggesting sharper lines, drawing from real nursing accounts to ensure authenticity. Some thought she was demanding. Alda often praised her focus, calling her the most serious person in the room. After Linville's departure, Margaret's storylines expanded, showcasing steel and sensitivity, and Swit's work was recognized with Emmy wins in 1980 and 1982. Her insistence on standards didn't just elevate a character. It set a tone for the set. Show up prepared, respect the work, and protect the truth of the people you play. Years earlier, a lighthearted interview with Loretta Swit and Larry Linville offered a rare window into their professional respect. While Margaret and Frank sparred for laughs, the actors approached the roles with discipline. Linville explained that playing a foolish or phony character demands as much honesty as playing a somber one. Performance is about mining every corner of your personality to keep the character real. Swit agreed. The ability to feel sadness makes genuine joy possible. It's why both comedy and Dramaland, they praised their ensemble. Swit singled out McLean Stevenson's gift for sliding between hilarity and heartache, and noted how he even wrote scripts that let the cast explore both sides of their characters. It was a room where ideas were shared, egos mostly checked, and the shared goal was simple: make MASH the best it could be. Even personal details, Linville's marriage to Will Geer's daughter, Sweet's travel stories, her continued collaborations with Stevenson, hinted at a web of bonds that stretched past the soundstage. The jokes never stopped, but beneath them was a bedrock of craft.